check out Rush Collectibles' awesome horror figures, including the first and only Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2 figures. For more information, go to rushfigures.com. Remember, in the course of discussing movies, the host will spoil plots. You've been warned. Listen to their screams. Greetings, ghouls and creeps, and welcome to Listen to Their Screams, a horror podcast that feels like you're chatting with friends. I am one of your friends, Dave. We're joined as always by our other friend, Ike. Ike, how are you?
Not doing too shabby. I would say that I'm officially over my illness, so
All right.
I'm almost back up to, I think, 100%. I think I'm like at 90% right now, so I'm almost there.
All right. For those of you that are filling in the thermometer thing at home to keep track, you can fill in and upgrade Ike to 90%. So,
absolutely.
there you go. I know people are sitting on the edge of their seats keeping track.
If you tuned in just for that, you can tune out now.
But stick around because we're going to have a lot of fun. So give us a chance. It's not just all about Ike's illness around here. There's lots of other sick things we discuss. So, the thing that we're going to discuss today is the movie Abigail, which is out in theaters now. We're going to review that later in the show. Before we get there, I would like to give a special thank you to our wives, the listeners, and our followers for all your support, your consideration, your time, your shares, etc., etc. You make this all so fulfilling in our lives. Besides talking about horror movies, it's always nice when we get some feedback, some interaction. It makes it fun. So and when the wives don't bitch at us, that's always a plus. I don't know. I guess I'll say, unfortunately, the wives are due to be back on fairly soon for another wives rebuttal. So,
They are.
brace yourselves now, people. It's coming. A storm's a coming,
Winter is coming.
and we are going to call it Monica. No, I love my wife. She's very strong and opinionated. One of the things I love about her, but sometimes it's intriguing in discussions. So that's okay though.
Is.
Thus is the spice of life, I guess. So
spice of life.
I guess it is a spice of life, right? I don't know which one, but it is a spice. So Ike, before we get on to everything, what you watch this week? Anything?
I did. I actually watched a couple of things. I had an opportunity to rewatch most of Talk to Me.
Oh yeah.
It's on Paramount, unfortunately. But so I say most of it because we got to like, and like it's 100% the app because the TV that we have is a smart TV. Now don't get me wrong, the Fire TV, it has its drawbacks, which I'm not going to get into. This isn't a tech podcast, but the smart TV, it works perfectly fine with 99% of the apps, but for some reason, Paramount Plus, for some ungodly fucking reason, just refuses to work. And so we'll watch the movie, and we got about an hour of the way through, and then it just stopped working. It just wouldn't load the movie. So then we close the app, reopen it, and it plays for like 10 minutes. It stops. So then I restart the whole TV, close the app, clear the cache, clear the data, relog in, and it still is just being an ass. So I watched 99% of the movie. I think we only missed like the last like 20 minutes, which arguably is one of the best parts of the movie.
Yep.
But, it is what it is.
So I do have to ask, if you have that much difficulty with the Paramount Plus app, right? I do know that Kayla is a very big SpongeBob fan. Is SpongeBob not on Paramount Plus?
SpongeBob is on Paramount Plus, which is another struggle.
How does she handle that?
So that's actually a good question. We actually own 90% of not 90%, like 70% of the SpongeBob series on DVD.
There you go.
So
that's why physical media still needs to be supported. Because
absolutely.
Sometimes the apps fuck up and you got to go old school.
Absolutely. So if we really wanted to watch it, we'd have that as an option. And I think Prime actually has a few of the seasons on it as well. So if you want like a little dose of SpongeBob, you're not like specifically wanting to binge it. You're just like, I just want to watch me a couple episodes.
Gotcha.
Which tomorrow is actually the 25th birthday of the first episode of SpongeBob.
I do. I saw that. I don't know what I saw that in. Something I was researching, reading. I did see that. Yeah. Debuted after the Kids' Choice Awards or something, right? It said, the thing I read, it said like there was the Kids' Choice Awards and then the first episode of SpongeBob was right after.
Yep, I believe so. Obviously I was very young when it happened, but I do remember watching it when it came out, which was very paramount at that time.
No pun intended.
Absolutely no pun intended.
Okay, so besides Talk to Me, did you watch anything else?
No, actually, I watched one other movie, and this was actually a first time for Kayla. So the movie from the 90s, The Mummy, the remake with Brendan Fraser and Rachel Weisz.
Yeah.
She had never seen it before. And I don't know if I would 100% constitute it as like a horror film, but it's like a monster flick. So, she enjoyed it. She said, it's definitely, you can tell it was made in the 90s is what she told me. And I was like, yeah, that's for sure. But she liked it.
Well, there you go. Is that it for you?
Yeah, I didn't really watch anything else. Bunch of stuff on YouTube. That's it.
I didn't watch for shit related to horror movies or horror anything. I just it's been rough around here. I think Monica and I both battled some food poisoning. We got Mexican one night from our favorite Mexican restaurant here in town. And I don't know. I don't know what happened. We've never had an issue, but we both came down with food poison like symptoms. So I'm blaming that. I don't know what else it could be. I don't know. We didn't get anything in comments. I don't know what it was. Something hit us. So it was a rough couple days there. We weren't feeling well. And I've watched some things, but nothing horror related. I'm always watching something. Always have something on.
Right.
And but nothing horror related that I know. Plenty of baseball, and I'm doing a walkthrough or a watch through on Walker with Jared Padalecki, the new series, to catch up. Monica's watched it all. I'm trying to catch up with her, so that we can watch the new episodes together. So I've been watching that. Otherwise, no, nothing horror related this week.
Yeah, I'll say it's been a slow week. Although I will say the only reason I watched only 2 movies, and this is just a little extra snippet, I've been replaying the Batman game, so Batman Arkham City and Batman Arkham Knight. So that honestly, like low key, Batman's kind of terrifying if you think about some of his villains, like especially like Scarecrow and like the whole fear toxin like shtick, and like I mean. Let's not talk about like, Hush, who's like a serial killer that cuts people's faces off, and Victor Zsasz. I mean, it's pretty terrifying.
Yeah, Batman in his own right is just an amazing character, or whatever else. But he's doubly good because he has such a good villains gallery. The deepest villains gallery of any superhero that I mean, probably the next would be Spider-Man as far as depth.
And
but Spider-Man. I mean, there's so many good villains there that, just, I mean, obviously, everybody thinks Joker, but there's so many others. I mean, you go down that list, and I myself am a Riddler. I love the Riddler. I'm a huge Riddler fan. I love that whole concept, but there's still, I was a big fan of the Court of Owls thing when they brought it out, several years ago, and really, really like that. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked there.
We are.
Batman is spectacular and even better because of his rogue gallery. But, that's not what we're talking about today. So, Ike, our segment today, let's dive into it. Horror Hot Take. And this episode, Ike, we have a horror hot take. You got one queued up on the burner, ready to go?
I think so. I think I got something for you.
All right. Well, let's bring the heat, bring the smoke. I don't know what your kids are saying. Bring it on. And what is your horror hot take for this episode?
All right, my horror hot take for this episode, and here's I guess I have to preface this a little bit with a small little bit of background. Recently, I'm in a few different pages on Facebook, and a lot of people they talk about movies, shit gets stirred around, You know how it is. Social media, it's a shit pot.
No, you're not saying that the online world is a little bit toxic at times, right?
Oh no, I would never say that.
You fucking liar.
I kid. I would absolutely say that. So the kind of thing that I got brought up the other day is basically when you watch a movie, right? A lot of times movies do have undertones. And sometimes there are tones, but maybe they're not the tones that you're thinking. And so, and this one is actually a very specific and niche hot take. So the movie Immaculate.
Okay.
With Sydney Sweeney recently came out. I loved it. I thought it was an excellent film. It definitely it bordered on the edge of being a 4. I think I ended up giving it a 4, but I think it almost bordered on being more. But a lot of people online have been talking a lot about what Immaculate is about, and Immaculate does have some undertones. It does have some deeper meaning. The whole concept of a woman's right to choose and bodily autonomy and everything else. And at the end, and the movie's been out for a while, so I don't feel like I'm spoiling anything for anyone now. But the whole premise of the movie is that they're trying to impregnate women using the DNA of Jesus that they have off of the nail that was used to crucify him, the supposed nail.
Right.
So a lot of people are trying to paint Immaculate as the picture of they're killing Jesus, right? And that's because the Sydney Sweeney's character kills the baby at the end of Immaculate. And so, and it may not even be a hot take. It may just be common sense. But to me, I think a lot of people are missing the point in the movie, which is that this woman was forced to have a child against her will. And at every turn, she was forced physically, violently, to have a child repeatedly, reoccurringly. And apparently a lot of people online are just mad because she killed a monster, for lack of a better term, because it wasn't even again, spoiler alert for people who have not seen the movie. The baby doesn't come out right. It's not completely all together. It's not a normal baby. And so a lot of people, I think, just they misgauge the purpose and intention of films, and they try and twist it to kind of fit some weird narrative that everybody's against them, I guess. I don't know. So I guess my hot take is that, sometimes movies do have underlying meanings, and sometimes, movies do have ulterior, messages, but I think it's okay to just watch a movie and not get angry about it. You know what I mean? I feel like that's totally an option that everyone on this earth can exhibit and put forth. And I think more people should.
Yeah, here's the thing, man. Not even speaking on that movie particularly, even specifically, right? In general, everybody nowadays thinks everything has a motive.
Yeah.
Right? And that there is a hidden message, that there is some form of agenda, that there is some form of a message. And I'm not saying that people who create things shouldn't be allowed to do that, because that's their right. And I understand that. What I'm saying is, man, fucking get over it. Not everything has an agenda. Sometimes things are just made for pure entertainment purposes.
Right.
Just for pure storytelling purposes. Not everything is divisive in this day and age. And there's such a split on things. And again, we're not going to get into politics. I'm not even, because that, whatever. I have my opinions, very strong opinions on those things, but this is not the platform for that. But everybody wants to see what they believe in things, right? And if it doesn't support what they believe, then they think it's the enemy, and they want to attack it. Man, just, I don't know. To be blunt, just fucking shut up and watch and enjoy.
Yeah.
And even if there's a message, who cares? That doesn't even mean you have to see the message, have to understand the message, have to believe in the message. Even if there is an agenda, just why not just enjoy it for the story if you enjoy it? But get over it, people. Not everything has ulterior motives in this world.
Yeah.
I know we have been conditioned lately to believe that everything is something. Sometimes things they're just what they seem. They're just entertainment. They're just escape. That's what movies are. They're escapes, right? We should be allowed to watch a movie to escape all the bullshit and the fighting and the split and everything else. Sometimes that's just the purpose of a movie. And again, I'm not speaking necessarily to that movie specifically. Could there be a message? Sure. Might there be a message? Sure. But, okay, if there is a message, if you don't agree with that message, you don't like that message, all right, just shut up and move on. What's something that you do agree with, if that's your problem? How come every time somebody doesn't agree with something or like something, it's got to be a huge deal? I mean, I hate Coyote Ugly, but you don't see me online daily nailing it to a cross, no pun intended, and setting fire to it and talking about how bad. I mean, I'm just like, okay, I don't like that movie. I'm not going to watch that movie again. So be it, right? And Monica loves that movie, and all right, yeah, cool, that's her right. She can watch that movie, and if she's watching it and I'm in the vicinity, okay, you know what? I'll put up with it or I'll leave the room. Why does everything have to be? You know what I mean? I mean, it's weird.
It is, and I think the word that you used that I think really nails it down is not everything has an ulterior motive. I think that's probably the best way to explain it.
Oh, and some things do, and I don't know. So many fights, man, and I don't want to stray. I don't want to. So many fights are just pointless. I mean, because you hear people saying, "Oh, celebrities shouldn't have an opinion." What the fuck? Really? Why not? Celebrities shouldn't use their platform and to support causes. Really? Why the fuck not? Right? Or, it's like, if you don't agree with it, all right, don't support that celebrity. Don't support that movie. Don't support that product. Support something then that if that's your guiding, your driving force, then just support the things you like and let other people. I mean, the fact of the matter is, if you have your opinions, everybody else is just as entitled to their opinion. And if a movie does have a message, that's their right as a movie maker to do that. And if you don't agree with the message or like that message, okay, then just go watch a different movie. Why? I don't know. I don't get it. People need to grow up is what it is, right? People need to act like adults. Everybody with a keyboard or a phone in front of them needs to quit thinking that they're some form of an expert and just let it be. Just move on, man. Live your life. Quit fucking crying about everything. And I'm not saying it's one side. It's everybody. Everybody does it one way or another. And don't get me wrong. I am very, very firm in my opinions on lots of things. But if somebody has a differing opinion, in my mind, I might think, what a fucking moron. But I'm not going to go on Twitter or X and post that they're a moron. If there's a movie that supports something totally against what I think, and there are plenty of movies that do, I'm not going to go on a social media platform and blast them. I'm just not going to watch the movie.
Exactly.
And then I'm going to go watch what I like or what supports what I agree with. And I'll share those things and support those things because that's my right. But on the other hand, it's somebody else's right to support what they want. It's, whatever. Why do I don't know. Whatever. We're getting sidetracked here.
That's usually how it goes with these things.
It does. I get worked up and I get a little sidetracked on this because, man, it's not that hard to get along.
No, it's free to just mind your business in a lot of
cases.
It is.
If you don't agree with someone, just fucking shut up and move on.
And I'm sure, or go ahead.
When I was in, like when I was in high school or whatever else, I gravitated towards people that liked the things I liked, right? And the things that we had in common. And that's the people I hung out with because we could talk about these things and do these things or watch these things or whatever it might be. But the people that liked other things, oh, that's cool. That's fine. That's what they like. That's what they support or they enjoy. Not my thing. So I'm probably not going to have a lot in common with them. Probably not going to spend a lot of time. But if I was sat in a room with them one-on-one, I could say, okay, you like this thing. Talk to me about it, right? Enlighten me a little bit. Tell me a little something. It won't change my mind maybe, but that's okay because I'm curious and I'm interested in what you like. And we can part and say, we have a difference of opinion on this. And that's fine because it is just an opinion. It's not a fact. So I don't get why it's so hard to get along. I mean, just avoid the shit you don't like, gravitate toward the stuff you do, and just leave everything else alone.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It is. And I'm sure, I don't know. I don't really pay. I mean, I don't know if anybody really comments on these things or ever really says anything about how we word things. But I do imagine that somebody out there potentially who maybe does fall into the crowd, who maybe agrees with the sentiment towards any of these films or Immaculate specifically, but they might say, well, aren't you just doing the same thing that I'm doing? And obviously I would argue that I'm not. I'm not commenting on the societal impact of these films. I'm simply commenting on whether or not I like the movie. You know what I mean? I could talk about the societal impact of films. I could talk about the political and general impact of films and what I believe they're about. But to me, I don't necessarily think having a deeper message makes the movie inherently better. I think there are plenty of movies that are very surface level movies, which are fantastic films. Like you said, not everything has an ulterior motive. And even if a movie does have an ulterior motive, doesn't necessarily mean the movie's going to be good. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think a lot of times people, they just forget that, like, the internet, I mean, there's just so much negativity anyways on the internet. And I think, like you said, it's just pointless. I mean, why go out of your way to do that? It's almost like people are like masochists and they just like, they like causing discomfort to people or something. It's weird.
Yeah. And to bring it, to kind of bring it back here, on topic to the podcast a bit. It's one reason that I absolutely love horror and horror fans so much, because it's really not that divisive overall within horror, right? There's obviously some, but it's like, you can like what you like. I like what I like. That's cool. I appreciate what you like, but it's not my thing, right? Slashers aren't my thing. I like whatever, paranormal stuff. That's okay. That's cool. You like what you like. I like what I like. I can appreciate the impact of slasher films, just not my bag. And I don't disrespect you or condescend you because you like that. And I feel like horror, yes, there are toxic people within horror. That is. But for some reason online, I don't know why, but I find that horror online kind of self-regulates a little better than a lot of fandoms. I don't know that if it's because a lot of people that gravitate towards horror are just more open-minded and open to things and more, hey, do your thing. If a lot of people as horror fans have spent time as being a little bit of the outcast because there was a time period where horror wasn't as prominent or as mainstream and you were a little weird because you liked it. I don't know what it is, but I mean, I have several fandoms that I kind of identify as part of that I really like. And horror is it's like the least toxic of them online to me. It's just like people do their thing. They support their thing. It doesn't seem to be as much infighting. I don't know. Maybe it's just me and the people I surround myself with online, but it just feels like that people kind of ignore the crap they don't like.
Yeah.
And,
I would agree
the stuff
with
they do.
I would agree with that, generally speaking. And something else I'll point out too is that a lot of the people I've seen, because I'm a part of horror movie clubs type things on Facebook, and I'm a part of just movie club type things. A lot of the negative stuff, and this is kind of the weird thing that you brought up, a lot of the negative stuff doesn't come from the horror movie side.
Yeah.
it comes from just the movie side, and it's usually from people who wouldn't watch the movie to begin with. It's people who read things online, they hear things about it, and they preemptively develop an opinion about a movie that they never intended to watch in the first place. Yeah. Which to me is beyond disingenuous. It is beyond. I would say it is beyond the faculty of a human being to say, I never intended to watch this movie to begin with, but I'm going to develop a third-hand opinion about it just because. And it seems silly to me. You know what I mean? But That's, again, to the point of it all. It's just horror movie fans do typically tend to kind of stray to the side of, hey, it wasn't my thing, but I'm glad other people enjoy it. Typically.
Yeah, obviously there's there's obviously toxic people within everything. But there's it's, there's certain types of horror that I'm like, I'm not real big into it. I don't worry about it, right? And if I'm in something or I see on a social media platform something about that, I just scroll on because, hey, that's not my thing. I don't care. But it's like if somebody else likes it, okay, cool. But I'm like that with all things. It's like I don't really care. You can like what you like. It doesn't affect me unless you're tying me to a chair and making me partake. Then whatever what you do in your time, if it's not hurting somebody else, I don't care. It's like what you enjoy, what you listen to or watch, so be it. And I just wish, to bring it back to your original point, I wish people would quit going into every single thing trying to look for the hidden message. And it's like, just watch it. If you feel like there's a message there, okay. Maybe it spoke to you that way. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's not the movie maker. Maybe it's you as the viewer. And so be it. Because somebody else, even if that message is there, somebody else can go watch it and not pick that up at all and just enjoy it for what it is. And that's okay, right? And the really, really, really good filmmakers, they can put a message in there, but mask it enough that a general viewer doesn't really get that, doesn't really care about that. I mean, we talked last week about, Romero and Dawn of the Dead and stuff. He put messages. Right? We've talked about them and everything else, but the general viewer can watch it and not really catch that, not care about that, and still love the movie. So.
Yeah, I would even argue that most people who watch those movies, they don't, and this is not anything about being cultured. It's just, especially with older movies, and this is again sort of off the point, but especially with older movies, we don't live the way that we lived back then. So the messages that are presented in older movies sometimes are missed by newer generations not because they're stupid, just because they don't experience the same things that those older generations would experience. You know what I mean? Someone born in the 50s or 40s who were adults during the 70s, and who would have experienced the nature of consumerism at that time, would not have the same experience as someone who is in their 20s, teens, watching it now, So, and that's another thing too, is that not everybody's going to perceive the same message. So what's the point in being mad about how you perceived it? So, but like you said, George Romero is a great example of that. You could watch those movies, just be like, fuck yeah, this is a great killing zombies movie. I love it.
Yep.
Or you could watch it at a different level and be like, I see where he was coming from, and but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, two different people could watch it. One person could be like, yeah, fucking zombies, fucking eat the guts, right? Yeah. Someone else could watch it and say, yeah, fuck commercialism.
Yeah.
And it's like, the other person's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I just saw zombies eating. Who cares? Right. And it's what we've said from the get go, right? Love what you love, support what you love, just forget the rest and move on. And everybody stay in your lanes and it'll all be good. And, we can all be happy because that's why we have choice. That's why there's variety out there. So there's something for everybody. And if you don't like it, all right, just move on. Find what you do like.
That's right.
And be happy. And we hope that you like us, even if we do ramble on in our horror hot takes. Sometimes we really, really ramble on, but that's okay because we're bringing it back on. We're going to take a break. We're going to pause, catch our breath, gain our composure, and we're going to come back with some news, birthdays, and movie anniversaries. So stick around. Make sure you subscribe to listen to their screams on your favorite podcast platform. Also, make sure you look us up on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok, and Slasher. All you have to do is look up Listen to Screams. That is Listen, the number 2 in Screams, and you can find us there. Also, make sure you go and buy yourself a Listen to Their Screams t-shirt. You can find all of our shirts at tinyurl.com/Screams Shirts.
Spreading the news. Spreading the news. Spreading the news. And welcome back to the news. All right. Starting strong, Dev Patel's Monkey Man is now available on video on demand. We of course talked about this. Jordan Peele was involved in this flick, so I definitely want to check this out. It looks so good. I love Dev Patel just as a general rule, and I love everyone who's involved in this picture. It just seems like a very interesting work of art. So yeah, I'll definitely check this out as soon as I can.
Yeah, it's still at that kind of movie at home stage where it's a little pricey, but it's out there. Again, we've talked about this at length. It's so cool that these things get to streaming and digital so quickly, and that option's there. And this movie, if you want to go in theater see it, that's cool. If you just want to wait a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, it's not even that long anymore. It's available at home. I just, man, what a great time to be a movie fan.
Yeah. Absolutely. It is a very good time to be a movie fan. There's so much good shit coming out, especially horror movie wise. All right. Cinderella's Revenge is in theaters now. It is described as when Cinderella is pushed too far by her evil stepsisters and stepmother, she takes off her glass shoes and calls upon her fairy godmother to seek bloody vengeance. As most people could probably tell, this is another one of those public domain horror films from, I think it's pretty obvious. And Cinderella's Revenge, Cinderella, the original story, already was sort of fucked up to begin with. So it is not beyond the realm of doubt that it could be turned into a horror film. So, Dave talks about it all the time, grim fairy tales, sort of talk about the original, stories behind the Disney tales. And so this is basically them just taking that and maybe adding a little more spice to it. But I'll definitely watch this as soon as it is on streaming for sure.
Yeah, me too. And I can't remember the name per se. There is a Cinderella movie that we've talked about a couple times of its coming. This is a different one. This is a second one. And I heard that there's even another movie coming up, where it focuses on one of the stepsisters. So, there's a lot going on with this. And, but yeah, I love it, man. I'm just so caught up in it.
Yeah, absolutely. The public domain horror, entity that is continuing to expand is just so great. So, obviously we're going to have lots more coming out. So
yep,
keep an eye out for that.
I'm a fan of all of it.
100%. All right. So, upcoming birthdays, May 2nd, 1965. We have Ari Lehman, the young Jason in the original Friday the 13th.
Absolutely.
Of course, very iconic, the scene coming out of the water. Obviously, everyone remembers that. That's sort of our first, true introduction to Jason Voorhees before his, I would say, his more literal debut in the second film. But yeah, absolutely. Great little, I have my opinions about Friday the 13th Part 1. It is what it is. But you can't doubt that scene, though, at the end, iconic.
Yeah, I mean, I love the movie. But no matter what, it doesn't matter. You're right, your opinion, whatever. Ari can always say he is the very first on-screen Jason Voorhees.
That is right.
So and I believe he even has a rock band that's called the First Jasons or something like that. I mean, he eats it up, man, and he makes friends. He seems like a cool guy online. So follow him. He does a lot of appearances. Guys, look him up. He's a cool guy. He embraces the fandom. Has a lot of fun with life. So rock on, Ari, and happy birthday.
Amen to that. But all right, sticking with the Friday the 13th genre here. May 3rd, 1960, Amy Steele from Friday the 13th Part 2. Amy Steele is the one of the head camp counselors, and she's from the iconic scene where she is holding the pitchfork, and Sackhead Jason like snags her from behind, I think.
Yep, absolutely. And she's she's great. One of the best, to me, one of the best final girl, quote unquote final girls, one of the best strong female characters in a horror movie. I mean, her character's great, right? Jenny or whatever. I think Jenny's the name. She's awesome. I think she's really good in it. And, I mean, iconic and, does, again, another, she does a lot of appearances or does, I don't know, a lot, maybe a lot stretch of. She does appearances. So, go out there and see her, support her, and get your picture with her and everything else. Cause, it's so, I mean, man, just the thought of, I don't know, man, it's so cool to think of the thought of someone doing that role and what that would be like to have that, even if you didn't ever do anything else acting wise, just knowing that you did that. I mean, how iconic. It's so cool.
No, absolutely. Definitely a role that you, even if, like you said, you never act again, you will always exist to some degree within that fandom for all of eternity.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't tell you anything else that Amy Still has done. And I'm sure she's done other things. Could not tell you anything else that she has done acting wise. And I am still a huge fan of her just based on this one movie.
Yeah, absolutely. 100% agree. I think she was in, what was it? It's a sequel to a movie. I believe it's April Fool's Day. No, she's in April Fool's Day, I believe.
Oh, that's true. Okay, I do know that. Never mind. So I do know that.
So we do know that.
I was trying to be dramatic, and it didn't pan off.
Didn't pan out, but still, though. I mean, other than those two movies, I couldn't tell you a single movie she's ever been off the top of my head. So
it's still two iconic movies there.
True, that's very true. Oh Lord, but all right, happy birthday, Amy. We see you out there. We see you.
We recognize.
That's right. Real recognizes real. All right.
Oh, but I'm so excited about the next one. One of my faves.
I was gonna say that this next one, of course, is one of Dave's faves, and
absolutely.
And having watched the movie that I would say that she's probably most well known for now, I can officially say that this is awesome, love it. But we have May 4th, May the 4th be with you, 1977. Emily Perkins, known for her roles in Ginger Snaps, It, and Supernatural. Obviously, she plays Bridget in Ginger Snaps. She plays Becky in Supernatural, and she plays Beverly in the original It from the 90s.
Yeah. Oh man, I love Emily Perkins. She's so great. And I mean all these love them all, man. I love the original It, loves Ginger Snaps, and everybody knows how much I love Supernatural. And Becky is one of the best reoccurring characters in Supernatural. And she's great, man. She's great. I love Emily Perkins.
Absolutely. And after having watched Ginger Snaps, it's fantastic. She
does
cool. Such a good job.
Yeah, it's so different than what she played as Becky. It's like polar opposite of how she played Becky in Supernatural, and she pulled it off so well. And I mean, love her. Love Emily Perkins.
It is very different because the character Becky is more comedic than anything else.
Yeah,
and
sure, all chipper and kind of upbeat. And man, her character in Ginger Snaps is like the polar opposite. It's totally like, fuck the world. Fuck life. And
the classic goth.
Yeah, it's just so like whatever and so great. But she's great. Love her. Underappreciated. She's not talked about enough. And that's not even talking about It. I mean, how iconic is that she was in the original It miniseries? I mean, come on. World needs a little more love for Emily Perkins.
No, I totally agree. Honestly, I need to get Kayla to watch Ginger Snaps. I think she would enjoy it.
So good.
But I'll let you know if that ever happens. Does Monica like Ginger Snaps?
She does. Yeah, actually, she does. Yeah, and she might be a little biased because of Emily Perkins and Catherine Isabel being from Supernatural. I don't know, but it's. I mean, to me, Ginger Snaps is one of the best werewolf movies of all time. It is. I mean, it's just great. It is so good. I love it, man. And if anybody listening out there has not seen Ginger Snaps, come on, you got to watch it. I'm not speaking on the sequels because the sequels are there's a drop. The first Ginger Snaps is One of my favorite movies.
Absolutely. I would definitely put it like it's for sure in my top 3 like werewolf movies of all time. Absolutely. And I would say it's definitely probably in my top like 20 of favorite movies of all time. Just because, like you said, it's a very inventive werewolf movie, and you don't see a lot of those anymore. It's just kind of the standard, wolf this, wolf that. But this was a little bit different. I really liked it.
Yeah, it was so cool because I'm not. We're not going to get sidetracked. Maybe sometime we'll do a thing on ginger snaps, but whatever. Again, I love Emily Perkins, and when May 4th comes, man, watch social media because I'm just going to flood it with Emily Perkins stuff.
That's right. All right.
I love Star Wars too, man, but it's time for Emily Perkins to take back May 4th.
That's reclaim the 4th.
I don't know that's going to happen. I just don't feel the fan base is quite the same, but yeah, we're gonna make a run.
That's right. All right. Now moving on to May the 5th, 1889, Revenge of the Fifth. We have Jack Pierce, who is the legendary Universal makeup artist, and we've talked about him before. I was trying to recall what he is from, but Dave will have to enlighten us.
Pretty much any Universal character monster that you know, Jack Pierce devised the look and the makeup. I mean, as far as goes, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman, that's Jack Pierce. That's his makeup. He devised those looks. He did them. He created them. So, if you look at pop culture and what they view Frankenstein to look at, hey, thank you, Jack Pierce. That was him. He was the guy that did that. The pop culture, what they think Dracula looks like. Hey, thank you, Jack Pierce. He did that. I mean, this dude was the makeup guy for Universal back for all those iconic monster movies. And then some of the later ones were guys that I'm pretty sure guys that learned beneath him or, from him. So, I mean, this guy developed pop culture's baseline view of these absolutely. That was his makeup. I mean, and his doing. So, and in those days, it's not like some producer or somebody, whatever came up to him and said, I want you to do this, 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 and this. That was a lot of, Jack Pierce had a lot of creative control over those things and what he did. And, so, Jack Pierce helped shape pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, there exists a paradigm where they have shaped pop culture, and by the sounds of it, it definitely sounds like he has. So, happy birthday, Jack. May you rest in peace, because he's certainly not alive.
Yeah.
He'd be a little over 140, so that's be pretty old.
Yeah.
But anywho, upcoming movie anniversaries. May the 3rd, 1996, The Craft. The Craft, of course, exists as a very, very iconic witchcraft movie. It has some really great characters in it. Nev Campbell. Oh man, I'm trying to remember the other Fairuza Balk is in it, and I believe Skeet Ulrich is also in this film. So a couple of Scream alum are in The Craft.
Yeah. It's an iconic 90s movie. I mean, very 90s, very iconic. Well, I think we've talked about it before. Right? There's several movies from the 90s that I think are kind of underappreciated and not discussed enough. And maybe it's because there's a lot of overshadow of Scream, right? I mean, Scream owned the 90s and the stuff, but there's some iconic movies from the 90s, and I think The Craft it's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, there are a slew of movies from the 90s. In the early 2000s that I feel like a lot of people look over just because there was just so much happening at that time. But, it is what it is. But The Craft, very good. I've not seen the sequel, Craft Legacy, so I can't speak to that one. But I've heard generally good stuff about it, but nothing like extraordinary. But maybe I'll watch that sometime. Anywho, May 6th, 2005, we have House of Wax. So House of Wax,
the remake.
The remake, yeah. This isn't the OG. Trying to remember if I'm pretty sure I've seen this movie, and it's been a long time, so I'm trying to remember what it's even about. Because I get this one and Skeleton Key mixed up in my brain.
Well, this is the one. I mean, it's got Chad Michael Murray, Paris Hilton, Jared Padalecki, and it's basically the whole. I have seen the original with Vincent Price many more times, right. But it's basically the whole guy creating art and these wax figures that are supposedly so lifelike, and that's because underneath they're actual people. So
I gotcha. And so I do think I've seen this one now that you kind of explained a little bit, but yeah, it's an anniversary. I guess we'll have to rewatch this because I didn't realize Jared Padalecki was in it.
Yeah, he is, and that's again. There's so many, like in Supernatural. There's the episode with the wax museum with Paris Hilton in it, and there's there's some comical references there because of her and Padalecki were both the House of Wax. To me, the best thing about House of Wax 2005 is Paris Hilton dies pretty early on in it, and that's pretty iconic. I just, especially at that time, was not a big Paris Hilton fan at all, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, and again, it's an all right movie. I prefer the original Vincent Price version. I'm a little biased and partial to that, but it's okay. It's a pretty good remake.
It's interesting because the guy who directed House of Wax, his name's I'm probably gonna mispronounce this. It's Jean Coldet Serra, but he also directed the Black Adam movie, the Disney movie Jungle Cruise. The Shallows, Orphan. So
that's quite a varied resume there.
That is quite the varied resume. And he's got a bunch of upcoming stuff. A Jungle Cruise 2 movie, a movie about Waco, Texas. It looks like. So yeah, all right, that's very cool.
Apparently, he must like Dwayne Johnson quite. I mean, because there's a couple movies there with The Rock in it, and it's so I don't know. It's whatever.
He's got a preferred, he's like, I gotta work with The Rock.
I guess.
Which, anyway, I'm not gonna start on that, but not gonna talk crap about The Rock. I promise. All right. Anywho, but yes, House of Wax, May 6, 2005.
Although I can tell you flat out, man, I'd love for The Rock to do a hardcore horror movie.
Yeah, but he wouldn't let himself get killed. That's the thing.
Oh, yeah, he'd have to.
He'd have to.
Fuck that shit. He can't pull any creative control on that shit. I don't care if it's late in the movie or whatever else. I want to see The Rock die in bloody, bloody fashion.
I agree. I think that he obviously has acting chops, and I think that he could do it. Whether or not he'd be willing to or not, I think is probably the question.
Nah,
he won't. He won't. What's the old thing that people used to say in like elementary school? A double dog dare you. You won't.
Yeah.
No balls.
Come on, Rock. I dare you.
That's right.
Be a man.
I dare you to do it. Triple dog dare you. Can't go back on that.
Jericho did a horror movie.
That's right. Jericho was in Terrifier 2.
And it's going to be in Terrifier 3. Kane did a horror movie.
He did Rock. 2 of them.
What's wrong with you? Are you scared?
As if Dwayne Johnson's sitting there listening to our podcast.
Yeah,
but
he's listening to it and would even take the bait of us.
Of course, yeah.
The unbelievability of it. But you know what? I gotta give it a shot.
That's right. Hey, we gotta live in some kind of delusional world. I kid.
I live in all kinds of delusional worlds.
Amen. All right. We have some cool upcoming releases for you guys. This first one I'm very intrigued by, so let me know what you guys think.
Yeah, this one kind of caught me off. It's just all of a sudden, it's like I hadn't heard nothing about this, and then all of a sudden it's out there. I'm like, whoa, what is this?
Right. So already not starting off strong. Paramount Plus.
Yeah, after we already trashed Paramount Plus. Oh, here they are.
Don't get me wrong. I'm excited for this project. I'm just not excited that I'm going to have to use Paramount Plus to view said project.
Maybe it can be gotten on Vudu.
Maybe. But Paramount Plus announced the movie Apartment 7A, which will be a prequel to Rosemary's Baby. This movie is expected to hit streaming service this fall. So obviously for people who've never seen Rosemary's Baby, it's from like, what, 1968, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, it's Becker.
It's an oldie. It's a goldie. But Rosemary's Babies is sort of, I mean, I would say it's sort of a precursor to a lot of like the demon possession, demon birth type movies from the time.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what else is there that would predate? I mean, you have a lot of movies that came back in that day, the Omen, and that's older, The Exorcist. I mean, I don't know, man. Rosemary's Baby might have been kind of leading that pack. And, but it's a great movie, and it's just wild to me. That's why, how this is coming up now. And I don't know, it's this recent trend of taking these older movies and doing a prequel lead up. I mean, I don't know. I like it because it's like, the movies are so good. Don't touch them. Don't try to follow them. Let's do something fun to show how we got to them. That's pretty cool. It's like we're in the day and age, instead of a sequel, we're in the day and age of the prequel. And it's, I like it, man, because I love the first Omen. I thought they did a good job. So I'm hoping they can do something fun with this.
No, absolutely. And I definitely agree. I think that if done right, I mean, you could easily make prequels, and you can do so without ruffling as many feathers, I feel like. Because a lot of people, they want sequels or remakes, and I feel like that just sometimes ruffles people's feathers because they're like, oh yeah, you're trying to redo what I love, or you're trying to work off of what I love. But it's a little bit of a different context when you try and make a movie that is a precursor to the film you love. And like you said, the first Omen was very good. So
yeah, I mean, as long as you've got some pre-existing material there, and as long as you're utilizing what's there and not, besmirching it or whatever, then, I mean, it's like, yeah, you've got a lot to work with. I like it. It's, it's hit or miss with some of these prequels. Some of them are not, don't work as well as others. Again, the first one was great. Loved it. So I'm hoping this one was good. I mean, I've not watched Rosemary's Baby in a long time, so I'll obviously have to give it a new view. But it's so wild to me that it's like I've heard nothing about this, and all of a sudden it's like, boom, it's expected this fall, and it's like so cool. It's pretty wild.
Stuff moves fast these days. It's crazy. But
I love it.
All right. Yeah. All right. And we already mentioned this last week, but Founders Day is on video on demand. Founders Day was the film that we forgot that we reviewed briefly. We came to our senses and we're like, yep, we remembered this happened. But yeah.
I still don't remember doing it, but it happened. But it's like so weird. I thank Founders Day. I still whatever picture of Thanksgiving. I don't know what is wrong with my brain.
I think that's my fault because I remember after we watched Thanksgiving, I started seeing trailers for Founders Day, and I started drawing parallels between the two. So I think it's probably partly my fault because I kind of planted that seed in your head.
So weird. It's that what do they call those? I can't remember the terminology now. Where it's like this general misconception of something in the past, right? Like Shaquille doing a Shazam movie.
Oh, like a Mandela effect.
Yeah, there you go. That's it, Mandela effect. Couldn't think of the phrase. It's so weird how this is. So yeah, I mean, it was done.
It was.
But apparently, since it's getting ready to come out video on demand, apparently I need to rewatch it because whatever. I don't know.
Dave doesn't quite remember it.
Maybe. I mean, hey, let's be straight. Maybe I was drunk. I could have been. I could have had too much scotch. It happens. Hey, I'm not saying I haven't drunk some scotch leading to this because I have. And whatever. But again, like you said, we mentioned this I think last week or the week before, but just mention it again because here we are. It's getting ready to happen this coming week. So if you've not seen Founders Day and are really jonesing, you can purchase it video on demand.
True story. All right. And I'm actually really excited for this next one because, of course, starting off strong, it's an A24 project.
Mm-hmm.
So A24's I Saw the TV Glow will be releasing in theaters on May 3rd. It is described as Owen is just trying to make it through life in the suburbs when his classmates introduces him to a mysterious TV show. A vision of a supernatural world beneath their own, in a pale glow of a television, Owen's view of reality begins to crack. So I saw the TV glow is sort of reminiscent of a creepypasta about a TV show that like a lot of people didn't remember. I believe it was called Pirates Cove, is the creepypasta. And Pirates Cove also was featured in the Shudder series Channel Zero, which also spectacular. But in addition to that, the I Saw the TV Glow movie stars two people, Justice Smith, who people might remember from the Detective Pikachu movie. He was in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, and he's in a number of great films. But also, the other person is Bridget Lundy Payne, who starred in Amelia's Children. She played Riley. So
okay,
I think we got a pretty stacked cast.
There you go.
Because she did really good in Amelia's Children, and I think that I love Justice Smith. I think he's so great. He was hilarious in Dungeons and Dragons for people who've not seen that movie.
Yeah, I mean, and I always put a lot of faith in A24, and I kind of lean in hard when they have something come out. It's like, I feel pretty confident it'll be, pretty good. And this movie, I feel like it's been talked about for a while. A lot of anticipation. I've heard this title for just, I don't know what it is. There's been a lot of buzz about it for a while. So here we are. It's I'm not sure this will be a theater view for me. Not even sure if my little dinky theater in my area will get it, but I suspect it'll be a quick turnaround to video on demand or streaming on it. So I look forward to seeing it though. Yeah,
me as well. And then of course, Tarot is coming to theaters on May the 3rd. So it is described as when a group of friends recklessly violates the sacred rule of tarot readings, they unknowingly unleash an unspeakable evil trapped within the cursed cards. And we will be reviewing this next episode. I'm actually very excited for this movie. It is a PG-13 horror film, which I'm hoping will not hinder the film's ability to be good. And typically it doesn't, but just as a prerequisite for a review next week, that is something I do look at to some degree. But also, it looks great. I for some reason, the monsters in this gives me like 13 Ghost vibes, like the Black Zodiac for some reason. But yeah, absolutely. I'm super pumped for it. Every time I see the trailer, I always tell Kayla, I'm like, that looks so cool. I'm excited.
Yeah. Again, this is another movie that's been talked about for a while. It had a working title for a while. I can't remember what it was before the official announced tarot name. And I always chuckle at things like this, like the tarot cards and the Ouija board movies and stuff, because it always makes me think of how in the past, like this stuff was all thought, this is all related to the devil, right? Even to the recent thing, my original hometown, there has been some hubbub here recently because they're getting ready to have their after prom. And at the after prom, which is, lots of games and whatnot, kind of a carnival type atmosphere, I think. They're having, one of the things they're having is tarot card readings that people, the kids can do. There is a group of people and parents and whatnot who are all like, oh, they can't do this. This can't be at the after prom. This is ridiculous. And I'm like, come on. This shit's not devil worship, right? I mean, what is this, like freaking 84? I mean, just get over it. It's showmanship. It's just a game. It's just, and it's like, and it's funny to me, these kinds of things. And when I was, like when I was a kid and there was all the hubbub about, and Dungeons and Dragons being devil worship stuff and AC/DC was devil worship stuff and all this weird stuff. And it's like, what? And it's so fucking weird. And I love that they take this stuff and make horror movies out of it. Just like, flipping the middle finger at these people like, okay. Hey, you think it's evil? Let's make it evil. And it's, I don't know. It looks like a great movie, but I always chuckle with things that are related to, like tarot cards and Ouija boards and all this stuff it's just innocent stuff that really is nothing. And again, forgive me if somebody believes in the, any whatever belief behind these things. I'm not diminishing people's, beliefs in these things, but it's like everybody automatically thinks, oh my gosh, tarot cards, that's a devil worship.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you could fucking go to Target and buy a tarot card deck, right? I mean, give me a break. It's like, grow up, people.
I mean, the Ouija boards used to be created by Milton Bradley or Hasbro or some shit like that. So I mean, here's the thing. I don't want to say I'm very superstitious, but like you wouldn't catch me playing with the Ouija board. But at the same time, I love the Ouija movies. I think they're great. Yeah. I think they're genuinely like terrifying movies. But it's also because I personally believe in it. But at the same time, I know it's not devil worship. You know what I mean? Everything that's supernatural, whether or not you believe in the supernatural or not, it's not evil. You know what I mean? Supernatural does not automatically equate evil. Obviously, I'm not going to get into the whole like my belief system and mysticism and all that shit, but it's just the supernatural. It just means it's above what we believe. It's above our plane of existence. You know what it is? And like I said, whether or not you actually believe in it or not, everyone knows is that it's not actually evil. It's only evil if you make it evil. And that's what they're doing.
It's just funny to be like at the after prom thing. It's like, I hate to tell you, but if you're worried that your kid's going to the after prom and is going to experience something weird because there's tarot card readings there, what are you going to do when this kid either moves out or goes to college or is on their own and they can say, I can do whatever I want? Well, I mean, come on. And I also, let's be frank, I hate to tell these parents, do they really think their kids haven't already experienced things like this? I mean, come on.
I mean, you watch all these horror movies and like, don't get me wrong, they depict teenagers doing dumb shit all the time, but it's not that far off from what actually happens. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Teenagers are inherently driven, and this is as somebody who was a teenager like 10 years ago. And I guess I'm just old, but at the same time, I was a teenager not that long ago. As a teenager, you were driven to do dumb shit because your parents don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
You're supposed to, though. You're supposed to do dumb shit and make mistakes and experience and learn from it. That's how you freaking grow as a person, is by trying and making mistakes. You don't learn through success. You learn through mistakes and weird stuff. I mean, that's what life's for. And it's like, and if you think somebody going out and getting a tarot card reading at an after prom is going to suddenly damn them to hell, okay, give me a break. Really?
Oh, yeah, it's that's wild. And I think I know exactly what you're talking about because the area that you're referencing, I have attended an after prom before. And I mean, when I went, I didn't partake, but there were people who were drinking. There were people outside who were smoking the ganja. Like,
of course.
If you think that tarot card reading is the worst thing that's going to happen at that after prom, you got your head buried in the sand. Let me tell you what.
Yeah, quit worrying about the tarot cards and make sure your kid ain't having sex. Because come
exactly. on. or if they are,
let's just make sure they're doing it. Period.
That's right.
I mean, come on.
No babies.
Your big concern's not demon possession; it's teenage pregnancy. Parent right, man. Come on.
I was like, statistically, is it more likely they're going to get pregnant or they're going to get possessed? I'm leaning towards the other one.
and perhaps it can be all in one, and we can circle back around to the Rosemary's Baby. I don't know, but whatever. Hey, that's a hell of a problem, man. That's one for the books. If I have.
That's a double whammy. You need a priest, but I can't get involved in that mess.
No. You got your tarot card readings, and you can just slide on over to the next booth, get your exorcism to go with it. Right. I mean, come on, people. Anyway, we got kind of rambling, but yeah, go see Tarot at the movie.
Yeah. Go see Tarot and review it with us, and let us know if your hometown has any interesting stories to tell.
Yeah, or if you're an experienced tarot card reader, right? I'd like to know more about it. I'm not, I've done some peripheral readings on things and whatever, but never really dove into the whole thing and really done a deep dive and what it is and how it works and what the belief is. And so hey, if you're into that stuff and you do readings or whatever, that's cool. Well, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear more about it, man. I'm curious about that stuff, and I'm not afraid. Unlike certain people in a certain town at a certain after prom. I want to know more.
Same.
And I would be even willing if someone were out there to do a tarot card reading and record it for the show.
Yeah.
Have it, you know.
I believe you have to be there in person for them to do your reading. I
No,
could
no,
be
no, I
wrong.
know. No, I know that. But what I'm saying is have the tarot card reading, but record it while it's happening to put into the show.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as a thing. So maybe, who knows? Yeah, you know, I'm sure there's, you know, certain conventions out there where people do these things. Maybe sometime at a convention we can have somebody, who knows? Now I think of like mall rats when they went to the flea market and saw the whatever, the palm reader or the one lady with the 3 nipples and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, my God. I've almost forgot completely about that.
So sidetracked. I don't know how we have completely spun off from upcoming releases.
We really have.
Thanks, Tarot. But,
yeah, thanks, Taro. But we will be reviewing that next week.
Rock on.
All right. So before we get too far sidetracked, before this train is completely derailed, make sure you follow us on social media. And when we come back, we will have our official review of Abigail. Stick around.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris Mass.
I'm Shane.
And we are the Casters of Horror.
Are you looking for a horror show that makes you laugh, makes you cry?
Makes you want to throw up?
Then check out Casters of Horror on YouTube.
Movie reviews, reaction videos, games, news, and more. Go to youtube.com at Casters of Horror.
And follow us on social media.
Get the hell over there.
All right, and we're back, and it's review time. The cards have said it's time to review Abigail. Again, I don't know if that's how it works, but that's how it works here. It's Screamville. Abigail was released April 19th in theaters. It was written by Stephen Shields and Guy Busick, directed by Matt Bettinelli-Open and Tyler Gillette, starring Alicia Ware, Melissa Barrera, and Catherine Newton. It grossed $10,297,110 on its opening weekend, which was good for number 2. I believe it was behind that Civil War movie, which I still don't know what the hell that is. I've seen lots of talk, and I don't have the slightest clue what that movie is. In my mind, Civil War is either about an old war or it's about a Marvel happening. So I don't know. Anyway, that's what Abigail is. So, Ike, go ahead, kick us off. And what do you think about the whole vampire ballerina movie?
Yeah, absolutely. So, a couple of things that I want to throw out first and foremost. Essentially, this is a horror comedy, right? I would say it probably borders more on like a dark comedy because it's not overtly funny. It's just, I think it's sort of ironically funny because there are some interactions and things of that nature. So that's the first thing. I love films like that. So obviously that was a very good start for me. But also a lot of the people who are in this movie are just fantastic. I mean, you have Melissa Barrera, Catherine Newton. You have Angus Cloud, which this is actually one of Angus Cloud's last movies, if not his last movie that he made before he passed. And so, he did fantastic in it. And of course, you have other people like Giancarlo Esposito and Kevin Durand, which, all fantastic actors and actresses. So not only do you have a powerhouse of a cast list for this film, not only do you have a very interesting concept, but you just have a generally good movie. So on to the details of the actual movie. So I guess the first things I'm going to say here is I'm going to try not to spoil anything because there are a couple of twists in this movie. And I think that Dave and I agree that they're probably best left for like people to see. Maybe at a later time we'll talk about it more in depth, but I'm not going to ruin everything for you guys. But first and foremost, as the trailer very clearly tells you, Abigail is a vampire. All right. And obviously the type of vampire she is, it's very interesting because one of the funny things about the movie is that they kind of try and talk about like, how do you kill a vampire? And obviously they're not totally sure because like most normal people, they're not anticipating actually encountering a legitimate vampire. So they're not totally sure how to kill a vampire. They're just kind of winging it. But there's a pretty funny scene where they try and use garlic to kill a vampire. So that, just keep that in mind. And obviously they go through the motions. They're like, yep, wooden stakes got to do it. Sunlight, garlic, whatever else, the cross, and so, as a whole, the movie is presented as sort of like an action vampire-esque movie with drops of comedy and horror. It's a very easy and light watch, in my opinion. The movie definitely it presents itself in a way that you don't take it too seriously. It's very much you watch it, you enjoy it, and you're like, okay, that was what I was looking for. It's not too deep, but it's just good. It's just deep enough for it to scratch that itch, if that makes sense. So a couple of things before I pass it off to Dave that I specifically liked about this movie, for people who maybe are out there like, okay, what specifically? First and foremost, they did not hold back on the cursing. And the only reason I mention that is because, to me, that if I met a vampire like in person, I would be cursing like a sailor. I would be freaked out. I would be like, holy shit, what the fuck, and it's, so in my opinion, it's very realistic that all these people are just losing their shit, losing their minds. And so yeah, I love that. The other one is that they don't hold back from the blood and gore, right? It's a vampire. Vampires are brutal. They're vicious. So there are, there's maybe a beheading or two. There's definitely some mauling and some gore and some blood and, all kinds of just gnarly shit. And, they also touch on, how you turn into a vampire, which is a pretty gnarly process by itself. And, it's just a generally fun movie. And so, the violence and the gore, a lot of people, I guess for me, it just makes it comedic, because it's literally like a little girl perpetrating the violence. So you have this little girl who's like being absolutely demonic and evil and just horrifying, but she's literally just a little girl. Like in real life, she was like a child. Obviously in the movie, she's older because she's a vampire, but still literally a child. And it's sort of, to me, it's kind of like the effect of like The Exorcist and Linda Blair, saying like the F word. Like you have this child who is literally like mauling people and like, using the F word and screaming. And it's just like, okay, this is great. But it was just a generally enjoyable movie. So I've rambled enough, I think. So I'll pass it off to Dave.
Yeah, that's kind of been a cornerstone of horror, right? Is that, you can use kids. It's like an ironic thing, right? You put, not even against kids in general, but you put people in positions that you don't anticipate. And there's it either formulates an uneasiness or a humor, right? You don't expect this little ballerina to be this violent, to say these things. So it's humorous. To some people, it might be a little uneasy. Those people might need to relax a little bit and whatever else. But when you talk about, like a horror with some comedy, that's kind of like, that seems to be Catherine Newton's groove here lately.
Right.
She's done a lot with Lisa Frankenstein and this and stuff. And even the stuff she did with Supernatural, right? There's a little bit of horror-esque, but she was good at that, kind of that undertones of humor in it. She's very good with that. And, I think it's really great. Like her and Melissa Barrera both are starting to establish themselves within the genre. They seem to be fully embracing, these horror roles and doing things, right? Obviously, Melissa Barrera, was in the Scream movies, and, we all know that, how that fell. We've talked about that. But it's like she's still, even after that, it's not like it's soured her on the genre. She still has embraced it and does more in it. And like you said, this movie, there's no groundbreaking. There's nothing, nothing deep, nothing whatever else. It's, when you look at whether you break it down to decades or time periods in the type of movies and type of horror movies, this is very stylistically what a lot of horror movies are now, right? Like with Renfield and I don't know, there's other examples, but there's like these horror movies that have, considerable gore, considerable violence and whatever else, but yet there's quite a bit of comedy and stuff in it too. It's like this weird potpourri of things. And that signs, it's a sign of the time with horror movies now, is this, kind of doing this. And, and it's okay. It's interesting, right? It's not, it makes for fun movies. But it's nothing, super groundbreaking or genre changing. But I think a lot of it's done to try to have a wider, more general appeal, right? If gore and violence is not your thing, maybe the comedy will bring you in, right? If that's not your thing, well, maybe the young actresses like Catherine Newton and them, the kind of thing they do will bring you in. It's like movies aren't as cliche as they used to be. There's a little more variety even within movies. I think as people fight for what's really kind of a, the entertainment dollar is not as vast as it used to be. And, people aren't going to see movies quite as much as they used to maybe. And people are finding alternative ways with streaming services and different things. They're waiting for those things. So I think a lot of these filmmakers are fighting for that dollar in theaters and things. So they're trying to put different approaches to, different styles within the same movies to try to draw in a variety of viewers.
No,
and,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to add to that, it's, I feel like that a lot of times, especially with a lot of frankly, this year alone has presented so many, like you said, sort of genre bending type movies for the horror, audience. And I think it's like you said, they're trying to, I guess, maybe appeal to a broader scope. Like you said, Catherine Newton specifically, she's had this film and Lisa Frankenstein, which Lisa Frankenstein also is a very much a genre bending film. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not a strictly horror film. And I feel like a lot of movies in this day and age are trying to broach that line of, are we making a strictly a horror film, or are we trying to mix in other genres, whether it be comedy, whether it be sci-fi, whether it just be, drama or this, that, or the other. And I think that it's working out in our favor because you're getting some pretty generally good blendings of genres and blendings of, talents and blendings of abilities, which for some reason, I guess Catherine Newton's just on the forefront of all of that. But
yeah, and I think horror's always been very, very receptive of comedy in it. Right.
Oh, yeah.
There's always been some comedy in there because let's really think about it. You're taking these, and I apologize, my dogs are going berserko in the background here. Horror it's because when you look at a lot of these, what do I say? The premise of some of these movies at its core, it is almost comical, right? It's to think of what the movie's about. It's like, it's preposterous, right? If you try to look at it analytically. So comedy does sometimes blend in there if you do it right. And, and I don't know, maybe it just kind of clicks for me because a lot of times I watch it and I don't know, maybe it's a reflection of my personality. Sometimes some of the most gruesome kills in these movies, I do chuckle. And it's not because I think it's hokey or whatever else. It's almost like this childlike wonderment at this love of what I'm seeing, even though it's this preposterously horrendous thing that's happening. Horror's always, I think, been inviting of that,
Absolutely.
Because it's funny. There's like this irony within it.
Honestly, it's funny that you mentioned that. I actually had a conversation with a coworker just the other day, and I promise this is on topic, guys. But I had a conversation with a coworker just the other day. They were asking me, hey, do you think I would like Abigail? Literally, this was like a week ago, because I went and saw it when it came out, just because I always try and get to the movies once a week. I just love going. But they were like, do you think I like this movie? I know this person fairly well, so I was able to kind of be like, based on kind of our interactions, I feel like you should probably like it. I don't see why anybody wouldn't like it, unless of course they have an aversion to like blood and gore, which of course blood and gore kind of comes with a genre. But I even kind of mentioned to them, I was like, it's a horror comedy, and they were like, they kind of turned a nose to that a little bit, and I'm like, well, what's a horror comedy you've seen? And you mentioned it. They thought that the movie The Visit, right, that M. Night Shyamalan movie where the grandparents go crazy,
yeah,
they thought that was a horror comedy because they said that when they're like, oh yeah, well, isn't it a comedy? Because I thought it was hilarious when they were trying to get the kids to get in the oven. I'm like, okay, I was like, that's like ironically funny. That's not like purposefully funny. You know what I mean? Their goal was not to get you to laugh. You probably laughed out of some sense of irony. So, but it was just a weird conversation I had with that person that, you know, drew a parallel with kind of how I approach in the movie. But, you know, and that's kind of the thing too, is that, like you said, sometimes you watch movies and even if it's not intentionally funny, you have to chuckle because you're like, that was insane, or that was absolutely, you know, astonishingly like crazy. But like you said, it's almost like a sense of irony to the laughing part of it, especially since someone's like dying on screen.
But I respond a lot to things that I really enjoy and things like that, though. It's almost it's right. If you enjoy it and if it does provide a sense of joy, then it would trigger, right, some giddiness a little bit if it's something that really triggers you, right? I mean, there have been some really what a lot of people would call extreme in their mind scenes in horror movies that I have chuckled and giggled at because I have enjoyed them so much that my joy just kind of overflows. And that's, and I know some people think that sounds sick. It's not sick. There's nothing sick about it. I understand that it's a movie, you know, and if I was to walk out my door and see that in real life, my reaction wouldn't be the same.
Oh no.
It's a movie. I understand that, but it's the purpose of entertainment, right? To release yourself, to believe it's supposed to be a magic about it, right? This release yourself, let it take you where it wants to take you, be understanding that it's just fucking make believe and enjoy it. And, you know, and this a little bit circles back to the hot take we talked about earlier where, you know, some people overthink some things instead of just take the ride.
Oh yeah.
And, but to circle, you know, bring it back to Abigail, right? That's, again, I think there's a lot of filmmakers that are now trying to do that, right? That they are trying to put a little bit of that comedy in there. Sometimes it's overly forced, and we've said that about a few movies, right? The comedy feels a little forced. And sometimes there's just instances where the situation in the movie brings it up, right? People, you say weird things and funny things and ironic things in certain situations in life. It happens all the time. And, you know, people react to things, and that's character development in some cases. And again, I don't remember, but like, my point being, it seems to be kind of a mark of modern horror to try, at least a style of modern horror is to try to put some of that comedy in there, not in a hokey way, but just kind of in a, like we mentioned, kind of almost an ironic way, right? It's, you know, we've seen it a lot in recent films.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So, and I think we'll continue to see it, hopefully.
Yeah. I mean, even when you go to you look at a movie like The Pope's Exorcist, which at its core is not comedy. He's still doing that little noise, or whatever he was doing, that noise he was doing and acting kind of goofy. There was still those little moments of, again, some of that comedy swings you one way so that when the terror and the horror comes, it's a bigger swing to get you the other way. So it lets you feel more impact, right? You're going from a happy, funny, giddy place to this terror place. It's a bigger swing. And, it's, you know, a movie. I don't know that a movie works if it keeps you tense the entire time. You have to have a little bit of release sometimes to enable you to take a breath and then bring you back. So sometimes, you know, when it's used properly, comedy can do that. And I know that's a weird ass dissertation, spawned by Abigail. So let's, anyway, go see the movie in theaters. Let's get to rating it. I thought it was a fun movie, right? Like you said, some blood, gore, action, a little comedy. It had a little bit of everything. You know, not a groundbreaking movie, but it was, to me, it was an enjoyable movie. And I like the approach. I don't ever recall, I'm not saying it's not happened, I don't ever recall a vampire ballerina ever. So hey, a little something different there. It's kind of funny. And again, it's almost humorous because it's ironic, right? Those two things don't seem to go together. A ballerina and a vampire. It's just funny to think about it, to me at least. So it's humorous. But so anyway, I think I would give this sucker a 3.5 out of 5 on the old Scream-O-Meter. Ike, what are you giving it?
I think I would probably go the same route. And I think it's one of those things, and you kind of even mentioned it earlier. Abigail, while it does what it does great, and it does it in a sort of unique way, because like you said, how often do you see a however many year old vampire ballerina on screen killing people? It didn't break any new ground when it came to the vampire genre or the horror genre, but it still did something unique. It still did something fun. It still did something funny. So 3.5 out of 5 for me as well.
There you go. So a 3.5 out of 5 for Abigail. I kind of feel like it's the norm, right? That's kind of our thing. A 3 to a 3.5, as if we enjoy the movie, that's what we're going to give it, because like we said, it's a fun movie, nothing groundbreaking. But it is what it is. But go see it. It's still out in theaters. If you have not seen it already, go watch it and brace yourself. I think it'll probably hit streaming and video on demand pretty soon. I think we're about there. Like we mentioned earlier, next episode, we are going to be reviewing Tarot, which is in theaters May 3rd. So go see that so that when we talk, you can have your opinion formulated in your mind and you can think to yourself, boy, these guys are brilliant, or boy, these guys are idiots. And we want to hear your feedback one way or another. What do you think of us? We don't care. Call me a fool. See if I care. I dare you. As we said earlier, I double dog dare you. Just give us some feedback on social media. Like we mentioned earlier, follow us on all those social media outlets, because we post all the news and anniversaries up there. And when something is really breaking and really hot, we don't want to wait till the next recording. So we go ahead and share it prior to, because it's just so good. We have to get it out there when we hear it. But we post lots of fun stuff out there. I think we're a pretty good follow. So go follow us. We do have a page on Facebook. We do have a page on X, and we do have a TikTok account, like I mentioned earlier. So go follow us on those and check us out. Like we said, next week, Tarot. Go see it this weekend in theaters. Ike, before we close out, anything you want to say?
Well, just as a public service announcement, since we are approaching prom season, the man approaches you with the Ouija board or tarot cards, just say no, kids. Just say no. Say no to the devil. Say no to the demons.
I disagree. I say pick up your date in a fire red tuxedo, bring them a tarot card deck, and said, "Baby, let's go." And let's, whatever. Let's raise hell and shout at the devil.
Raise hell, praise Dale.
That's right. Beer drinkers and hellraisers. No, kids, don't. I digress. That be smart on your prom night. Don't get seduced by the devil.
That's right.
And do any tarot card readings and whatever else, because God knows that's the problem in America nowadays. So anyway, then. Have fun if you are going to a prom, right? It's a time to have a good time, but just be smart. Be smart and be safe, and wrap that willy and everything else. So until next week, when we're going to review Tarot, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and always have many pleasant nightmares.